This week on 30 Minutes, we're proud to bring you somewhat of a double feature, if you will. As you may be aware, there is a new police chief in town, as Chief Don Teal stepped off into retirement, and our new police chief, Phillip Fuqua, has taken that position. Paul took the opportunity to interview Don Teal on Good Times in the Morning, where he shares a lot of his stories about his time in the service and what he's seen and what he hopes for the future of Martin. And Phillip Fuqua then joins us in the second half of the program to share his vision and tell us about his life and his family. We hope you enjoyed this week's 30 Minutes program with former police chief Don Teal and new police chief Phillip Fuqua.
I was just thinking of, we were talking about vests a moment ago. Chief Don Teal with us here this morning. How much do those things weigh?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 5 to 7 pounds, more than likely.
I thought they were like 10 pounds or 20. Are those, what are they called? What's the word? Velcar or something or other? What's that?
Well, the ballistic vests that we wear are they have quite a bit of Velcro on them.
Velcro, but there's a, what is that stuff?
Kevlar.
Oh, Kevlar. I was trying to put Valcar in it. Those are pretty good, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't need one right now. What are you going to do with yours? You going to hand it back in?
Mine's already been turned in, yes. But I keep a portable one in the back of my patrol car, so in case we have to have it, I put it on.
You remember the first time you put on a vest?
About 41 years ago, yes.
Mm-hmm. You were a little bit lighter back then.
I was a lot skinnier than I am now, yes.
What's been the difference in 41 years?
Well, there's a lot that's changed over the years. I mean, you can just watch the news and tell of what is happening these days to law enforcement, and there's big changes.
Well, what was it like 41 years ago when you came to work?
Well, we had we're not a large department now, but we were a very small department at that time in 1983. And I started out on midnight shift, and there were 3 of us, a sergeant and 2 patrolmen. And
you got to be kidding!
No, that's what. And there were times when there were only 2 of us working on midnights, and we probably didn't have the call volume that we have now, I'm sure, but we were stretched thin back then.
Mm-hmm. Memory that stands out, maybe early in your career.
Well, we had the incident down on Jackson Street in 1984 where the individual in that little shotgun house there was shooting at police. That house is not there now, of course. But I was coming into work at 3 o'clock that afternoon, and I called in for a ride for them to come and pick me up because we didn't have patrol cars, take-home cars at that time. So if you lived in town, they'd come by and pick you up. And the dispatcher told me, he said, well, it may be a little bit before they come get you. We've got an individual that's shooting at us on Jackson Street. I said, well, I'll just drive in. So I got in my car and headed over to that location. And Fred Freeman was also, he lived on Main Street. He was coming in at that time. And he was walking from Main Street to the police station. I just picked him up and we just drove over to the incident. And
you had uniforms on?
Yes, we were in uniform. And we had one officer there, and there was a large tree in front of that house, and I believe Ken Dilday was the officer there, and he was engaging the individual inside, and Fred went to one corner of the front of the house, and I went to the other corner of the front of the house, and that's where we stayed and until Chief Jackie Moore showed up and some other officers, and we finally enticed him to come outside and made the arrest.
Nobody got hurt?
Nobody got hurt. They threw gas in, and he finally came out with a gun in each hand. And Don Lovelace, that was with Highway Patrol at the time, he came in behind the individual and tackled him, and they placed him under arrest.
What was that all about?
Well, there was, I don't know if you remember that building there that's I-69 or the 69 the corner there, that building there was a Circle T steakhouse. Mm-hmm. And there was some people that worked there that had gone out to dump some grease in the dumpster out there, and the individual in that house thought they were coming over to rob him because he always kept quite a bit of money on him, I was told, and and he thought they were coming over to rob him, and he shot at him out that house. And then that's when they called the police, and we went over there to get him out of there.
You know, I was there, and it was dangerous, and that's the first time I'd ever worn one of your vests.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, it's pretty crazy. I don't know how many law enforcement officers we had, and it looked like everybody was there.
Yeah, at the beginning there was one, and then there were three, and then there were probably about 30.
Yeah, and the last thing you wanted is to not be the person, that pulled a trigger on that. But
sure.
I don't remember any. You help me, but I don't remember any gunfire from the police. Am I wrong?
No, none whatsoever. And when he came out, he had a gun in each hand. We had him raised toward the sky, and we were able to get behind him, and Don was able to tackle him. They got the guns out of his hand.
Yeah, wasn't that crazy? I mean, but yet at the same time, it was perfect ending. If there is such a perfect ending to a shootout.
That was the ending you wanted. Nobody got hurt, and everybody walked away, yes.
And that was in 1984.
1984, yeah. Yes. I just...
40 years ago. I mean, you had just come on.
Yeah, it was after I'd gotten out. I got out of the academy in February of 84, and so it was after that.
They teach you how to do that?
I don't remember that in any of the classes I took, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's always something new. Yeah. All right, give me another story here, Chief Teal.
Oh, me. There's so many in 41 years, but one that stands out is the individual on South Macomb Street that I spent about 5 or 6 hours doing a face-to-face negotiation with. He had a gun to his head and was going to commit suicide. And after about 5 or 6 hours, I was able to talk him into dropping the gun and walking out with us. So that was something that stayed with me for a long, long time. And I was, I think, 38 years old at that time. It was July I did remember the date. It was 1994, July the 1st, 1994. And that had such an impression on me that I still remember the date of that. And Jay Barnes and David Blurton were my two officers that responded with me that we were going to an individual that was talking about, he called his wife and said he was going to commit suicide. And when we rolled up, he walked out of the house with a gun pointed at his head. And that's when I started talking.
Did he tell you why he was needing to?
I think he was addicted to crack cocaine and could not break that addiction. And he had children and a family, and he just didn't feel that he could break that addiction and get off that, and he wanted to end his life.
Chief Don Teal, who is being recognized today, noon till 2. And yes, there will be some refreshments and maybe some other things. If you have the opportunity to come over to the Martin Police Department, it's easy to find. Just look for our tower here on North Lindell Street and then look across the street, and you'll see the most beautiful facility around here, at least in my judgment, that you oversee the construction plans, ideas, all of the things that went into it to build a new police station. I mean, and it really was overdue by about 20 years.
Yeah, anybody that ever had the opportunity to come to our old police department, you really appreciate what we have now across the street here. We really needed that building, and I'm really proud of that, and we are all proud of that facility and the future of law enforcement for Martin, and it is a really nice building.
The old Martin Police Department was on the grounds of the new public library. That for those of you trying to figure out where that was, and of course there was a gas station there. There were also a ladies' dress shop and as I recall, all the different things that were in that one square for a while. I want to go back to one more question, or maybe you have two others, but there have been things that you've had to oversee through the years, Don, and one of those, obviously, is what you've talked about. But there has been at least one and maybe two, I'm not sure, but after a number of years, you want to be able to say that we've solved all the crime, but it's impossible to do that. And you had a situation here, and what people here know as the Hut Nut. there was a horrible situation that took place there a number of years ago.
Yes.
Can you share with us what happened?
Well, that was a murder that happened down at the Hut Nut. That was before my tenure as chief, right before I took over. David Moore was chief. They had a party down there, and an individual got shot and killed, and that case is still unsolved. There were multiple witnesses to that crime, and we have yet to solve it, mainly because folks just won't talk to us or give us any information, and we're still asking for information on that. If anybody can step forward and give us information to be able to solve that. But yes, that's the only unsolved homicide that we have on the books right now.
I won't ask you for a name, but I would ask you this, Chief, and that is, did you ever have to take one of your friends to jail?
Oh, yeah. I have. It's an uneasy, uncomfortable situation, but oh, yeah, I've had some friends of mine that had to spend the night in jail, yes.
Mm-hmm. And the relationship still good?
Oh, with most of them, yes. They all understand, and you know, I knew this when I took the job, that it was never going to be uncomfortable situations, probably with friends and possibly family also, and you just work through it.
I recall back when I came to work here the second time in 1981, I remember that the police officers actually did do a walk patrol through downtown Martin and a few other areas. Did you do any of that?
Oh, yes, I did. We would always try to get out of the car in downtown and anywhere else and try to make contacts with people and just let them put a name with a face instead of just seeing us in a patrol car and not knowing who we are. And so we just tried to make that connection.
Yeah, you were really at that time being a door checker. I mean, making sure that they were locked. And It's amazing how many times a business would forget to lock their business.
Absolutely. My first year or two as a patrolman, at I think it was like 7 o'clock every night. If you were working second shift, you went in. We didn't even carry portable radios at that time. You went in and you got a portable radio and you started walking the alleys. And you walked behind the buildings and checked the doors, and you walked in the front doors and checked all the front doors to all the businesses downtown. And you're right. There's a lot of times when you push on the door and think it's going to be locked, and you just kind of push all the way in, and you'd have to get a hold of them and tell them they forgot to lock their doors.
You know, the things that happen, usually you have people from out of town that come in and they do something, they get in trouble with it, whatever it happens to be. And in case, most recently, we had some people that came from out of town, and unfortunately, they claimed the life of some folks. And these things, I think by and large, people realize this is an opinion on this, but I think everybody wants everybody to have a good time. But they don't want to get in trouble. And that's tough for the police department when you're looking for witnesses, when you're looking for what happened. It's come today where the technology has changed so much that everybody's got to have a camera on what's going on.
And most everybody does. And most everybody has a camera and videos everything and everybody. And we have cameras around town. All the businesses have cameras and homes have cameras. So the first thing when you have a violent crime or any other crime, most of the time the first thing you do is canvass the areas for the nearest video footage. And much of the time we have video footage of certain crimes or different crimes that happen because everybody has a camera, and all the businesses and homes have cameras.
Mm-hmm. I have a follow-up all of that. We're talking about death for just a moment. There are a lot of times when the police department, you always make sure that you're in the intersections and so forth when there is a funeral. But you've had some folks to go down after they passed away, didn't have anybody that lost their life while they were a police officer. But you've had police officers who have served, and you have to go to the funeral, and there's always a special recognition for a fallen soldier, fallen police officer, and so forth. We seem to have more of those across the country now than we ever have had.
Yes, and Martin's had some officers that former officers that have died in the last few years, and we try to show up and make a presence known for them and their families.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's one of the things about being in the middle of that funeral procession. I mean, the officers are there at the intersection, but there are people that want to fly right past through it. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Well, but that doesn't happen very often. So, but yeah, that does occur.
Let me wrap with just a couple of other things. So now that you're stepping into retirement at the age of
66,
and of doing so, is there anything that you still would have liked to have seen done for the police department, for the city, or maybe in working relationships, maybe getting more people? I'm not putting things in your mind, but I know that it's tough, and you've talked about this, but I think by and large, the department has to grow to be able to take care of a community, a city that is growing. And I don't know that many people realize how big the city of Martin is when you're running around in a patrol car.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, and you touched on it. We do need more people, and we have 40 staff members when we're fully staffed, and 30 officers, and we do need more officers, and need to work. I should have, and the future needs to work toward more personnel. We have 4 investigators. We need more investigators, at least 1 or 2 more investigators, and we need more patrolmen on the street. And it's just been more and more difficult to hire and retain officers with the environment that we work in now. But we need to work toward building our numbers up.
Here's your time to thank the city of Martin, the people that you have been watching over them for the last 41 years, and now here it is.
Yes. It's bittersweet. I want to thank the community of Martin, the city of Martin. It's a wonderful place to live. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to serve this city for 41 years. Thank all the former officers and officers that I have now and staff. They do a wonderful job. Thank Mayor Brundage and our board for giving me the opportunity to be chief 9 years ago. I've been blessed. It's been a wonderful experience. I've had so many opportunities, met so many wonderful people, and it's time to step aside and turn it over to someone else.
Final question. How many mayors have you gone through?
I've gone through 6 mayors and 5 police chiefs. So that's a lot.
And I think you have been the longest serving, maybe at this time and where we are in the 2000s?
I'm probably the longest serving officer. Yeah. I'm not the longest serving chief, but the longest serving officer, more than likely. I can't think of anybody else that's served this long. Well,
thank you for your service to the city of Martin, for the integrity that you have maintained. And I'm going to tell you folks right up front, there have been times when the chief hasn't been able to tell us something. And as close as we are, he has maintained his highest integrity about making sure that when information is delivered, it is delivered not secondhand, and you can keep a secret. And I admire you for that.
And I thank you, Paul, and WCMT and all the media outlets out there that have supported us and have always been supportive and always been fair with us.
Glad you came over, and congratulations on your retirement, Chief Don Teal.
Thank you, Paul.
Yes, sir. Good times in the morning at WCMT. On our 30 Minutes program now, we talk to the new police chief of Martin, Tennessee, Phillip Fuqua. And, Chief, first off, what's it like wearing a different badge than what you once had for so many years?
Well, it's exciting. I've been thinking about, the possibility of having this position for a long time. And, of course, I've been with the police department for a long time. And I don't think it's going to be too different from what I've been doing, but I'm excited about it.
Well, you've been on the job a couple of weeks now. What changes have you made, if any?
Well, we've made some changes. Of course, anytime that somebody that's in ranking officer leaves, it causes a snowball effect, and some other people get to assume some new roles, and we've taken care of that, and just getting ready to move forward with a fresh team in the command staff. We're not going to have a assistant chief now. In years past, we've always operated with 3 captain command staff, and and that's what we've opted to go with at this time. And pretty excited about that because we're filling these roles with people. Each role has a very different skill set that's required for that, and that's we've tried our best to match the right folks with the right task, and really excited about those people moving forward with us.
Can you tell us who your captains will be?
The captain for a patrol is going to be Captain Eric Reed, and then we've recently moved Lieutenant Kelly Hendon to the CID captain spot, so he's going to be division commander for our criminal investigations division, and then Lieutenant Trey Vaughn will be functioning as administrative captain moving forward.
What are you short on right now? What do you need? More guns, badges, vests, or maybe it's people?
People's always something that we're looking for with Chief Teal leaving. As like I said earlier, everybody's moved up a step along the way, so that's left us another patrol opening at the entry level. So we're going to work on filling that spot, and then we have several people that are in training, and hopefully we can get all those folks to a point where they can work their own shift and try to get back to full force and move forward on some of these projects.
You had a number of questions, both you and Captain Reed, when you were interviewing. You had really some very good questions asked, your opinion and what you would do. What is the one question, or maybe two or three questions, that you were really felt really good about in answering your questions or answering their questions?
Well, one of them is about some future goals, and I feel really good about that because I think with Chief Teal, we had already headed in the direction of reaching some of those goals, and we want to continue progress on those. And then, got a few other new things that we'd like to get involved in, maybe increase some technology and change some things where we can do the job more efficiently.
Have things changed much on the interior of the police department and so forth? I mean, you've moved anything around, or maybe you've added a few things?
Not a whole lot. Of course, fortunately, our police department, the facility itself is fairly new to us still, so we feel really good about the facility, and it's kind of one of those unique situations where after we got moved in, we really didn't see a lot of things that we would have done differently, and that's a good thing. And the facility works really well for us, so we're going to kind of keep it as is for now.
A lot of people would say that Martin's police department is one of the best anywhere around here, and I'm a little bit prejudiced to it, but I can tell you the times that I have been through there and the manner it's beautifully kept, people seem to have great respect for it. And, the mayor is going to show up at least once a month or maybe twice just so he can do a walkthrough. Holding the meetings at the municipal courtroom.
Yes, sir. I think most everybody that works with us, they're even the ones that didn't get to work in the old building. They understand that it's an honor to be able to work in a newer facility, and they're very proud of it. And so we don't have a lot of trouble getting people to take care of things.
How do you feel?
I feel good. Anxious. I'm ready to get going on some things and learn some new things. I'm always been a person that I like to know all the aspects of every task that I've been assigned to, and there's some stuff that that's going to be new to me, and I'm excited about those new challenges.
Are you nervous a little bit on certain things? I mean, you've been around it a long time, but there's always going to be something that's new to you.
In this business, you're careful to not say you're nervous about anything because you never know what's around the corner. But I feel confident. Mostly because of the staff and the group officers that we've got right now. There's some very intelligent guys and girls. They're very well trained, and we want to continue that process.
I don't know that this has been made as public as perhaps needs to be, but I think people need to know that you're very well trained. You have passed the course, if you will, at the FBI Academy, which I think is one of the highest honors that you can receive. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's true. It's probably the pinnacle in leadership training in the law enforcement industry, and we want to keep moving forward. Martin is an unusual department for a small one, and we've sent several people to the FBI National Academy, and we want to continue that. And we've got some people that are going to be going that path themselves.
Yeah, there's always somebody that comes to you with a new idea, and one of the things that I heard you say is you're open to and willing to listen to anybody who can bring something new to the police department that you can use.
Yes, sir. I consider myself to be very open-minded. Now, you're going to have to convince me that it's a good idea, and I'm willing to look into that and make changes. I've never really been one to make changes just because the mass wanted a particular change. But if I think it's going to benefit us and make things more efficient and a better place for all of us to work and be able to serve the public better, then I'm always open for ideas.
We haven't done this, but I think it's important. Give us the bio. You grew up in Martin, Tennessee, and went to school here.
I'm from Martin. Grew up about 2 miles north of town, and I went to Westview, graduated in 88. 1986, I met my wife at Westview, and she grew up about 2 miles south of town, and that part is kind of history. But we were married in 91. She's employed at the University of Tennessee at Martin. She's director of educational preparedness, and she's been there 28 years. And of course, I've been at the police department 24. And so all of our children live here. I got 4 grandchildren that live here.
You mowed the yard a little bit?
I'm a known doer. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. That's kind of been the rest of my life. I've worked labor-intensive jobs, and I'm not going to ask anybody to do something I won't do myself.
Well, you put up the post office here on the side of the road, so you got the post office box over there. I saw you dig that, a hole digger, and a few other things that went through that. So I know you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. But I'm going to follow that. Why did you want to become a police officer?
Well, initially, to be honest, it was more about benefits and retirement, and because I was just unfamiliar with the job. So I applied with the city, and the police department was hiring, and I got the job, and I discussed it with my wife, and I told her I was going to try it a couple of years and see if it was for me or not. And once I got started, I just felt like it was a fit, and learned a lot of things that I didn't realize were going to be parts of that job, and just felt like I was being of service, and just enjoyed myself. And here I am 24 years later.
You moved up pretty fast in the rank to become the assistant police chief. How long did it take you to get there?
I was selected as administrative captain in 2015 when Chief Teal started, and then 2 years later, Chief Teal decided to bring back the position of assistant chief. We'd had one in the past, and so he did that in 2017. So I've been, in Chief Teal's administration staff since he started 9 years ago.
Only people like me are going to ask these questions. Are you going to wear the badge?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to have a gun on you?
Oh, yeah.
Is there something that you are most proud of right now that you have become the police chief of Martin, Tennessee?
I'm proud of the people that I'm going to be working with, and the confidence that they seem to have in me.
They gave you a unanimous vote when you applied for the position.
Yeah, one of the things that has made me the happiest about receiving this position was that both of my parents are still with me, and both of them were able to see that happen.
Thank you for coming over. And we know we're going to be neighbors for a long time, and as many of you know, we have the radio station and the police station right across the street from one another. We're good friends, but when it gets to be business, we got to do business.
Yes, sir.
So, and I appreciate the way that you've handled the business, and more than anything else, I wish you the very best. And also for Police Chief Don Teal, who has retired as of July the 5th, we want to wish him the very, very best as he steps back and lets the new chief, Phillip Fuqua, be the police chief of Martin, Tennessee. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
That's our program today here on 30 Minutes. Hope you've enjoyed that. And we'll have more coming up next week here on Thunderbolt Radio's 30 Minutes.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.